Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Adventures by D. I'm Dave.
Dean.
That's right. We're here to talk about Obi-Wan, episode 1 and 2. So thank you for joining. I know it's Memorial Day weekend, and thanks all the men and women out there for their service. It's Monday, May 30th, and just want to say we're Adventures by D. If you don't know us, we're a family-friendly YouTube channel. We do family-friendly adventures. We're based out of Atlanta. But we really go all over to all kinds of theme parks, botanical gardens. I went to a car museum recently. Anything that I think will be interesting as an adventure that's family friendly, we'll do it. Of course, like other YouTube channels, we do a bunch of stuff at Halloween and at Christmas. We just recently got back from Universal Studios in Orlando, so we'll have a bunch of vlogs on the Hard Rock Hotel and what Universal's like recently, the brand new summer tribute store, which we did a live stream. You can check out that on our channel as well. So Dean, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about the first two episodes of Kenobi, which released last Friday, and we're also going to talk about all the new trailers that were shown at a Star Wars Celebration recently.
That's right. So if you haven't been on one of our reaction videos before, or you're watching on the replay, I appreciate that. So we've done Boba Fett. So this is on the brand new Obi-Wan that just came out last Friday. So there's going to be some spoilers. So we're going to talk about 1 and 2 in depth, all of both episodes. So I don't want you to leave the stream normally, but if you haven't seen 1 and 2, go ahead and hit pause and watch 1 and 2 and come back on the replay. So there are major spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen 1 and 2 and you want to stay spoiler free, again, I don't normally recommend somebody leave our stream, but I would say pause and then come back and see us, and then we'll go from there. Right, Dean?
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about episode 1. Well, first I should back up. Obi-Wan has been talked about as a spin-off series for a long time, right, Dean?
Yes. So it was originally pitched as a movie, but ever since the Disney Plus revolution, if you will, decided to turn it into a TV show.
I didn't realize it had been talked about as far back as 2016. And, you know, every time Ewan McGregor would show up in a different movie, they'd ask him about, well, are you ever going to be Obi-Wan again? And then I think at 2 Star Wars celebrations ago, they finally announced it. He got on stage with Kathleen Kennedy and announced, which made us Star Wars fans very happy that he was going to come back. And like you said, originally it was going to be a movie. I think with the success of The Mandalorian, now it's been made in a Disney Plus series. So I should make sure there are 6 parts. And what's weird about Obi-Wan is there's no episode titles, so it's just part 1 through 6. So it's all being directed by Deborah Chow, which I think she did a fabulous job on The Mandalorian. And does she do some Boba Fett episodes as well?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Anyway, she's doing the whole. So unlike Mando, they're not switching directors. Deborah's doing all 6 episodes. They're premiering now every Wednesday night. So there'll be part 3 through 6 will be the next 4 Wednesdays. And they'll drop, I think, at midnight or 12:01, whatever time at night. So we have been through 1 and 2. So where do we leave Obi-Wan? Where did we last see Obi-Wan, Dean? Or better yet, where does this part of the Obi-Wan timeline take place?
Well, it takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So kind of the middle of the rising Imperial era. I think it's called the Dark Times. I think what it's officially referred to as. So we're kind of, the Empire has risen and the galaxy is feeling the effects of that. We're about, I think it's 4 to 5 years before Rebels as well, which is going to be kind of important. As a lot of these new Star Wars series, they kind of take stuff from a lot of other ones. It's all pretty connected now ever since The Mandalorian. So we're seeing things from Rebels, Clone Wars, and even games like Jedi Fallen Order are now in these TV series. So timelines are now more important than ever.
I read somewhere, I'm not sure this is true or not, but it's 10 years after Revenge of the Sith and 9 years before A New Hope.
Yeah, that's right.
So basically, right smack dab in the middle between 3 and 4, or between
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith and then 1977's A New Hope. So we're going to do an in-depth on these reactions. We kind of do an in-depth of, hey, Francisco, welcome in. Thank you. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. I appreciate your time. So we're going to talk about episode 1 in depth. We'll do a little show and tell of some relevant Star Wars collections from our Star Wars vault, shall we say, and then we'll talk about episode 2. So we talk a little bit about episode 1. We ask for your feedback. Hopefully, Francisco, if you've seen 1 and 2, feel free to chime in or ask questions, and we'll try to answer them. We'll go through 1, and we'll do a little show and tell, and then we'll go through episode 2. So episode 1, part 1, Obi-Wan. So we had a little recap when the show came on, and the recap went over what, Dean?
Basically, all the events in the first 3 prequel films. We saw young Anakin in episode 1. We saw Obi-Wan fighting Maul. Episode 1, we saw the speeder chase in episode 2. And of course, we saw the duel of the heroes in episode 3. So we got a pretty good what we call it? Charcuterie board of events from the prequels.
Very nice, Dean. Charcuterie board, a cornucopia of what was going on from the prequels, right?
Yes.
And so that set the stage. Kind of where they jumped in was Order 66. So if somebody's watching and doesn't know what Order 66 is, what would that be?
Well, it's you kind of have to watch Revenge of the Sith, which I sure hope you already have already. But if you need a little refresher, basically Order 66 is when the clone army, they all have a chip in their head, and Emperor Palpatine gave the order to execute all the Jedi. So it's a mass slaughter and betrayal of the Jedi in the galaxy, and a major turning point, which basically started the creation of the Empire and the fall of the Republic. But recently Star Wars really just can't keep their hands off of Order 66. I mean, we've seen it in almost every single thing recently. Jedi Fallen Order, Book of Boba Fett. I think it's Clone Wars, Bad Batch, basically all the stuff. They keep on revisiting Order 66. So, I mean, it's definitely an interesting event. But now we saw a group of younglings being trained by a Jedi Master who's actually credited as Minas Velti, which is a new Jedi Master we didn't know about, but they kind of die here, so that's unfortunate. But we see the younglings having a training session with the Master. All of a sudden, Operation Nightfall occurs. Order 66 happens. The Jedi Master dies defending them, and they decide to flee.
All right, so from Order 66, and when we actually get into the episode, we see Obi-Wan kind of, my take is kind of a beaten down meat farmer. You see him working, processing that desert dragon meat, as you told me when I watched it. I was confused of what they were processing. It looked kind of like watermelon, but it's the dead dragon meat that he's processing.
Well, I have a few things here. So first, Order 66, there are 5 younglings, and obviously I'm assuming that the scene has some sort of connection later in Obi-Wan that we haven't seen. And the running theory is that one of the younglings is actually Reva, the third sister, which we don't really know that much about. So that's kind of important. One of them kind of looks like her. The logo, when it comes on, it's a little missable detail, but the eye in Obi-Wan is actually a lightsaber, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of hard to see, but if you're looking for it, you can tell. Well, we're not to the meat farming part yet. We still have the a second cold open. It starts with Order 66, and then we get the introduction of the Inquisitors first. So they're a scythe transport, as it's called, flies over Tatooine, and its design is kind of interesting because we can see it has the same design as Vader's castle with the 2 pointy prongs, and also the chairs in the Fortress Inquisitorius also have this design, kind of like a prevailing theme for the Inquisitors. When we see their transport landing, you can actually see a droid known as R3-T2, which is in A New Hope. So that's just kind of a fun Easter egg. He's still chewing in Mos Eisley all those years later. So yeah, basically the Inquisitors kind of roll off the ship, and obviously they're looking for something, and they roll up to the cantina where the Grand Inquisitor gives us a little lesson in Jedi hunting. A key to hunting a Jedi is patience. The compassion leaves a trail. The Jedi code is an itch. All things that come back later, or probably will come back later, when we see Kenobi on his adventures, as obviously he was a former Jedi. So we find them. They're kind of like interrogating people, and the Grand Inquisitor kind of baits out Nari, which is the new Jedi we see, and Reva throws the knife at his face, and then he throws the knife at the bartender's face, and Nari stops it with the Force, so they're able to catch him. We kind of get our first glimpse of Reva as well. Her character, she's very ambitious. She's not like the other Inquisitors, and they do not like her. So that's kind of important to know. I'm sure will be more important later down the line. So we had a couple comments here. Yes, greetings, Karki.
Hey, Karki. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
And so I would start off with the Inquisitors. Obviously, they're from Rebels, like a really strong connection to Rebels. It's really great to see them on screen for the first time in live action. But a lot of people have some qualms with the Grand Inquisitor's appearance. So that's kind of an interesting little thing. He looks very, very unique. Just want to say that. We have the fifth brother compared to how he is in Rebels. Also very interesting. Also, when he speaks, he has this like bass to his voice that's added in like post production that I thought was kind of interesting, and it's easy to miss when you like think about it. You can kind of hear him. So we kind of go on to Obi-Wan and his day job being like I guess a butcher, I would say, harvesting meat from wasn't I originally thought it was a crate dragon, but it actually isn't. When you look at the skeleton, it's some kind of beast we've never seen before. But they're harvesting meat from some kind of giant creature. So we kind of see Obi-Wan with his knife, cutting the meat. And it's kind of interesting contrast between his knife and his lightsaber, because in Revenge of the Sith, we see him use a blaster and he calls it uncivilized. Obviously, the Jedi's lightsaber is their greatest asset and their only real ally. So it's kind of interesting to see him using like a bloody knife as kind of like a metaphor for where Obi-Wan is now. So you kind of see him, and it's kind of a contrast between Obi-Wan and Nari, because when we see the worker complain about the pay in front of Obi-Wan does nothing, while Nari can't like helping people. So it's kind of a cool contrast to see, like the difference in the Jedi nowadays. So we get to see Obi-Wan go back to his humble abode, and it's a kind of interesting tidbit. We see this little thing pop out of the sand, like a sensor that flashes blue. And I don't know if you remember this, but it's actually a little astromech sensor that we see R2 use in Dagobah.
I thought it was R2. I thought R2 was in the sand.
No, it's just some droid. We don't really know who it is. We see him, he makes the instant like stew, I guess, kind of like how Rey has the instant portion bread. It's kind of like a connection between food and Star Wars. And then we see the Jawa Tika show up to Obi-Wan's residence to sell him some goods. And obviously we see him buy something, which is actually the T-16 the Skyhopper toy, which we see Luke use in A New Hope. And obviously it's discussed about later with Uncle Owen showing up. Another thing, the Jawa says I have a tribe to feed to Obi-Wan, which is like a comparison to how the worker that was complaining earlier said I had a family to feed. Have an interesting comparison and contrast there. And, after this little encounter with Tika the Jawa, Obi-Wan goes to sleep, and we have another little charcuterie board of prequel moments, but this time it's in the show. He's having a nightmare about, like, Anakin specifically in his, like, fall to the dark side. We get plenty of moments from, Mustafar, Attack of the Clones, stuff like that. And then when he wakes up, Obi-Wan is asking for Master Qui-Gon's assistance, which is kind of interesting because at the end of Revenge of the Sith, we see Yoda teaching, or Yoda's about to teach Obi-Wan how to connect with Qui-Gon because Yoda figured out how to do it in the Clone Wars, and so he learned that sometime. So I'm sure we're going to see something to do with Qui-Gon later, as Obi-Wan keeps on asking for his guidance. And then Obi-Wan, after he wakes up, we see him go and watch over the Lars homestead, where we see Uncle Owen looking for Luke, and Luke is wearing the pod racer goggles, and he's doing the little driving motion, just like Anakin did. Obi-Wan could see Anakin and Luke because Luke's his son, if you didn't know.
So, go ahead. I have a couple questions for you.
Okay, well, we kind of see Obi-Wan have another monotonous day. Everything's always the same for him, kind of like in contrast to how he used to live with the Jedi Order. Always going on adventures, going different places, doing different things. And now he literally does the same thing every single day.
If you're just joining, we're recapping episode 1 for Obi-Wan. So I'm waiting for Dean to take a breath, and then we're going to ask him some questions. I'm Dave from Adventures My Dean. Dean, this is my son, Dean. And so we're almost to the end of episode 1 recap, and then we're going to look at some bigger picture questions. And then we'll do some collectibles sharing, and then we'll get to episode 2.
All right, so basically at night we see Nari, the new Jedi.
Thanks, Carol.
Yes, thank you. Nari, the Jedi, finds Master Kenobi and tries to talk with him, reason with him. He wants his assistance, but Kenobi is unwilling to help Nari. And it kind of shows like a major contrast between the two characters, how they both were Jedi, but now Nari wants to be compassionate and wants to help people, but Obi-Wan wants to stay hidden. And later in the episode, we see Nari ends up dying because of his compassion, and Obi-Wan lives because he hides. Just kind of showing how even though Nari is doing the right thing, he has to pay for that. And this era of Star Wars, he tells Nari to bury his lightsaber in sand, which we later see is exactly what Obi-Wan did. And we get to move on to Alderaan, and we get to see young Leia. But first, Leia is actually playing outside, but Breya, her mother, doesn't know that. And we see we see Leia use a decoy as Padme used to in the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. So just kind of just like an interesting comparison between the two characters, as we're going to see later as well. And there's also a lot of similarities between Luke and Leia, even though they live in two completely different places. They have a lot of similar things about them. Their best friends are droids. They both like to run away from their parents and kind of imagine things, and they also love to watch ships as well. So they share a couple things in common. And obviously, Kenobi leaves the toy at Luke's homestead as well. I forgot to mention that. And Owen rejects it and fantastically roasts Kenobi.
So, a couple questions, Dean. Were you surprised that the episode kind of ended with Leia getting in trouble and not Luke?
No, that wouldn't make sense if Luke got into trouble.
Well, why not? Obi-Wan's supposed to be watching over Luke, not necessarily Leia.
Well, exactly. That's the whole point of this part of the show, and he makes that point as well. He's supposed to watch over Luke, but Bail desperately needs his help, so he has to go get Leia while Owen has to watch over Luke, and the Inquisitors are kind of looking around for him. I think for sure I decided to wear a bad shirt today.
Thanks, Francisco. So what was your seeing the Inquisitors for the first time in live action? I know you're a big Clone Wars fan. Did that meet, and the people in the chat, that the Inquisitors live action meet expectations?
Okay, hold on a second. Clone Wars, Rebels, first of all.
All right.
Second of all, yeah, I really like their on-screen portrayal. I know a lot of people didn't like how the Grand Inquisitor looked, but I don't really have a problem with it. I like his portrayal, and I really like the fifth brother on live action. I think I like him more than the animated one, because the animated one just kind of sucks. but this live action one I would say is way cooler. And obviously the third sister is new, but I also kind of like her. But she's definitely getting more development later, so I'm sure we'll see a lot more information about her soon. And so we see Leia on Alderaan, and she's living her life. She has to meet with her bratty cousin, and then she roasts him absolutely brutally. And she runs away, and then she gets kidnapped. And that's kind of where we leave off Leia for the episode. But when we go back to Kenobi, we see him, have another same old day. But we also, when he comes back to his EOP, which is his little camel thing, he is confronted by Owen, and Owen wants him to leave Luke alone because he knows he just wants to train Luke to become a Jedi, and he doesn't actually care about Luke. And inconvenient timing because the fifth brother and third sister show up and interrogate people about Nari and his whereabouts. And Reva threatens Owen about the Jedi information, but he doesn't end up cracking. Very impressive display by Uncle Owen. But Nari ends up dead and strung up in the town square, which Obi-Wan sees later, kind of devastated by. And Bail contacts Kenobi to come save Leia, but they end up... Kenobi rejects his offer initially, but the next day Bail shows up at his actual house, and he accepts it, and we see him get back his lightsaber from the sand, and he goes to a transport to go to Daiyu to go save Leia, and that's where episode 1 leaves off.
All right. So, people in the chat, what were your overall expectations for episode 1? Did it start like you wanted it to start? How did it compare to Mando and Boba Fett from a quality? Did you like the story? Dean, what were your thoughts?
I really liked it. I think episode 2 is the better one so far, but I think episode 1 was a good start. And it was just nice to see Star Wars again, I was just really excited. But also, I have a couple of things while they're typing. So, C-3PO and R2-D2 have a cameo in Alderaan. As we know, in this period, Bail Organa actually owns them. So they appear in the scenes where they're kind of talking to their cousins. We have a mention of a Purgil, which is from Rebels, which is the space whales Ezra talked to. We have the goofy chase scene with Leia, which is my only problem with the episode. Is the scene when the kidnappers chase Leia and they can't catch up to an 8-year-old girl. That part was pretty weird, but it's whatever. We have Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's the kidnapper, which is pretty cool. It's good to see some more musicians in Star Wars, like we saw Thundercat and Book of Boba Fett. We see another comparison here is Obi-Wan always takes care of his tools, because we see him clean his butcher knife, but also he cleans off his lightsaber of sand after he takes it out of the sand. So Obi-Wan always takes care of his tools. Let's see what else. Another comparison is with Bail in A New Hope. Obviously, we don't see Bail Organa in New Hope, but he does trust Obi-Wan with helping Leia again, which is exactly what he does in Obi-Wan. So it's setting up A New Hope. And I guess I'll get to that later. And then Obi-Wan also has mannerisms like the Alec Guinness Obi-Wan, like Ewan McGregor's kind of mirroring him. In some scenes, you can see him doing stuff that Alec Guinness would do.
Hello there.
Well, he doesn't do that yet, but I'm sure he will.
Dean, I'm impressed you ever own custom notes.
That's all the notes I have for episode 1.
You're taking the readout seriously. I love to see that. If you've just joined us, we're Adventures by D. I'm Dave. My wife Chris and Madison aren't in this stream. They're out running some errands. Dean is with me, my son. Family-friendly vloggers out of Atlanta, Georgia. We do theme parks, botanical gardens. Recently did a car museum. We'll do Star Wars readouts, reactions. We do some cosplay. We just got back from Universal Studios working on some vlogs as we speak on that. They have a wonderful new 80s kind of throwback summer tribute store with E.T., Jaws, and Back to the Future. And then there are a ton of Easter eggs. So that live stream is on our channel. If you want to look in the tribute store now, go right ahead. Thank you for joining. This is Obi-Wan episode 1 and 2 kind of reaction. We just went through episode 1. We're going to take a breath in a second and show a couple collectibles that are related and then go into episode 2. We're going to do a reaction to part 3 and 4 and part 5 and 6. So we won't be doing every week. We're just going to do every other week. That seems for us a better drumbeat than every week on YouTube, just talking about one episode. So that's how personally we like to do it. I know other channels are doing reactions, so that's cool too. Everybody's different on YouTube. I've learned that, so that's what works for us. So Dean, any other big picture things on episode 1? I mean, I would say young Leia to me is kind of a breakout star. I mean, besides Obi-Wan, that was expected to me, but I think the actress playing the young Leia, she's awesome.
I agree. She did a really good job, and I just really like seeing the Inquisitors on screen. I can't wait to see them in action more later.
All right. So we're about half an hour in. Let me look at some goodies. So take a breath, and we'll actually have something to see here rather than hearing us talk anymore. So Dean mentioned Star Wars Celebration. If you don't know what Star Wars Celebration is, it's a big, huge Star Wars fan convention that takes place every couple years, and I believe it rotates around the U.S. I know it's been all around.
Well, actually, they're having one next year in Europe. So
are they? Okay. Well, it's worldwide. Anyway, so my wife and I have been to Star Wars Celebration, the second one. This is our Friday pass it was in Indianapolis, Indiana. And yes, that is Obi-Wan in it. Let me move my fingers so you can see the passes. They're just keepsakes, laminated passes. This is Star Wars Celebration 2. So you have to Google the year. I think it's 2001 or 2002. It was in Indianapolis, Indiana, downtown at a convention center. And I'd love to say we planned on being there, but I was there to run the half marathon in Indianapolis, the mini marathon they call it. And Star Wars Celebration happened to be in the same convention center where I was picking up my running number. So definitely had to go because I had never been. So we hope to get back to another celebration at some point in the future. And Dean and Madison haven't been to one. So definitely have to get back. I just remember, that was a long time ago, but I remember it was overwhelming with the vendor room. Just so much Star Wars stuff there. It was awesome. And we also got to go into one of the speaking rooms. And I remember hearing Anthony Daniels do stand-up C-3PO, and his stand-up was he gets a little PG-13 rated, but he's super funny. And also got to hear George Lucas speak on the stage, and it was awesome. So obviously Celebration has grown so much over the last 20 years. I hope to get back to it and take Dean and Madison to it at some point in the future. They just had it in Anaheim, in Anaheim Convention Center, literally just this weekend. It just ended. So there's a ton of Star Wars information that came out during it. You want to hit some of the highlights of the releases from Celebration, Dean?
Yeah, a little information from all the trailers. So the first one we got was Andor.
While you read that, I'm going to keep holding these up. Keep reading.
Okay, the first trailer we got was Andor. So we got to see young Cassian. So we see Cassian before Rogue One. You get to see Mon Mothma and the Imperial Senate. And the Imperial Senate in general is something we haven't seen a lot of, and that's making a lot of appearances in these trailers. We got to see Phase 2 clones in live action. And then we see the mobile attack pod, which is the new ship. The planet's name is Ferrix, I believe. And we have names of 2 characters besides Cassian. So we have Luthen Rael, which is like the blonde guy that is Cassian's ally. We have Cyril Karn, which is like the I don't know what to call him, like guard in blue armor, who's kind of hunting Cassian, I think. Some kind of police military force that isn't directly Imperial. Next, Mandalorian Season 3. Oh yeah, by the way, Andor's coming out in fall on August 31st this year, August 31st. Next, we have Mandalorian Season 3, which is February next year. So a lot of these trailers were actually exclusive to the convention, but I managed to watch them all. So I have a little information from all of them. So we got to see a lot of Bo-Katan. So she's going to be big in Mandalorian Season 3. So we see her on the throne. We get to see Grief Karga Navarro wearing some immaculate clothing. Um, and there's an IG-11 statue in the background, like we saw in Mandalorian Season 2, which just might be important later. We see the armor and Din kind of wanting to reconcile his sins of taking off his helmet, which you got a little bit in a Book of Boba Fett. We got to see this, but it's expanded on in Mandalorian Season 3. And so Mandalorian is going back to Mandalore to kind of wash himself of his sins. We see Dr. Pershing, the cloning scientist. We got to see more Mandalorians, some like Death Watch, Night Owl groups. We got to see Babu Frick in the second trailer they showed, so that was pretty awesome to see. And we saw Sundari, the Mandalorian capital, which we saw blow up in the Book of Boba Fett, and it was previously shown in the Clone Wars. The next one was just actually a logo and a concept art. It was Skeleton Crew, which is about a group of kids post Return of the Jedi, and between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, who are lost in the galaxy, and they're trying to find their way home. And it stars Jude Law, and John Watts is the executive producer. But that's basically all we know about the show. We don't know that much. That was a brand new announcement. We got the announcement for the sequel game to Jedi Fallen Order called Jedi Survivor, which is coming out next year. And it takes place at the same time as Kenobi. And one of the running theories is that Cal Kestis is going to show up in Kenobi, which is the main protagonist of Kenobi, of Jedi Fallen Order. So a lot of people think he'll show up in Kenobi based on how his life was going. Now that this one is set in the exact same time as Kenobi, more evidence. We get to see a Padawan Imperial Senator, so another Imperial Senate connection. We get to see Cal has a blaster. Kind of interesting for a Jedi to have a blaster. And someone in a mysterious bacta tank. Next, we got Young Jedi Adventures, which is like a kids show set in a High Republic, which follows like Padawans and Jedi younglings learning the ways of the Force. We got Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation, which is coming out in August, and it's just like a Lego Star Wars short. And then next, we got a little bit of Ahsoka, which is currently filming, but they gave us some information. So it's going to be directly after the finale of Rebels. We get to see the mural and the ending of Rebels in live action. We're getting live action Hera, maybe Jason Syndulla, her kid, Chopper, Sabine. We got to see Huang, which is from the Clone Wars, which is definitely a surprise. He's the droid that helps the younglings construct their lightsabers, so he's really cool. Next, we got the Tales of the Jedi, which is my biggest surprise one. It's basically going to be a 6-series anthology with basically Clone Wars episodes, but 3 of them focus on Count Dooku and his time as a Jedi, and then 3 of them focus on Ahsoka in different time periods. So it's going to be Clone Wars animation, or should I say Bad Batch now, kind of the newer Clone Wars. It looks really good. So we're getting Jedi Dooku, we're getting a young Qui-Gon voiced by Liam Neeson's son, we're getting Qui-Gon voiced by Liam Neeson, we're getting Mace Windu, Yaddle for the first time, we're getting Ahsoka as a baby, we're getting Ahsoka during the Clone Wars with Captain Rex and Anakin, and we're getting Ahsoka post Order 66 in her fight with the Sixth Brother as seen in the Ahsoka novel. We got 2 more trailers here. The other publicly released one was Bad Batch Season 2, which is the one I'm personally most excited for. So we got to see Bad Batch in the new armor. They kind of have like more tattered clothes and everything's kind of painted like orange. We got to see Omega, who has her own armor now. Sid is back. The Clone Commandos we see again. We get to see Scorch leading them. He made a surprise cameo in Bad Batch, and it looks like he's coming back. Maybe we see the rest of the Delta Squad. That would be awesome. You get to see Palpatine and presumably more of the Imperial Senate, which, it's like the 4th time we're seeing the Imperial Senate. That's interesting. We're getting Commander Cody. That was my personal favorite part. Imperial Commander Cody is something fans have wanted for like a really long time, and we're finally getting him. That's awesome. He's working with Crosshair. Rex coming back, and we got Gungi from the Clone Wars in the same arc from Huang when the younglings make their lightsabers. He's a Wookiee Jedi, so that's going to be awesome. And maybe Petra, which is another youngling that worked with Gungi, who appears to be in the trailer. We're not sure about that one. And the last announcement was Star Wars Visions is getting a season 2, and it's going to feature studios from around the world making a Star Wars anime.
So a lot of Star Wars content coming.
That's right.
And I told Dean, I just hope that it continues to be quality stuff like Mando and Boba and now Obi-Wan. I think the series is pretty much in good hands with Filoni. I know he's not doing everything, but he's doing a lot of things.
He's doing almost everything.
And what he's not directing, he's overseeing, which I think is good news. Him and Favreau. All right. If you're just joined us, we're Adventures by D. If you're enjoying the Star Wars stream, give us a thumbs up. Helps YouTube know we're doing a great job. If you're new, consider subscribing. We are family friendly and based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And we go to theme parks, botanical gardens, just with the car museum. We just got back from Universal Studios. We've done a bunch of stuff here locally at Stone Mountain. They have an unbelievable July 4th show that we did last year. The entire show is up on YouTube. We go to Buc-ee's, Wild Adventures in Valdosta. So any place there's fun, we will be there. So hope you're enjoying this content. And we've been over episode 1, did a little show and tell. So let's go and dive into episode 2 with Obi-Wan going to Dayu, which reminded me of Coruscant from the prequels.
Yeah, so Dayu that's based on Hong Kong, but it's very similar to a Coruscant underworld we saw at the beginning of Attack of the Clones. But the reason why they didn't just use Coruscant was because it's different now during the Imperial era, which we're actually going to see a lot more of during some of these shows. Maybe even Kenobi with Bail Organa. He's an Imperial senator. But definitely Andor, we're going to see Imperial Coruscant, which is going to be awesome. So kind of through these episodes, we see the very beginning where the Grand Inquisitor kind of gives us advice on hunting Jedi. A lot of his advice rings true. Like Obi-Wan hunting himself, basically. How the way he goes to find Leia, he literally hunts himself as the third sister predicted. You can share that?
I know.
Okay.
Keep going.
We kind of see him go around Dayu. He's trying to find Leia. We get a little cameo from a veteran clone trooper wearing the 501st armor, asking Obi-Wan for some change from a warm meal. He's played much more Morrison. It's really great to see him again after Boba Fett playing a clone trooper. And
I did not notice that was the actor who played Boba Fett playing that part. I guess Dean did. I did not notice that.
Well, he plays every single live-action clone because Boba Fett is a clone of Jango Fett. You watch Attack of the Clones. So, yeah, basically it's just really great to see a clone trooper in live action again with this helmet off. Last time we saw that was Cody, I'm pretty sure. So, Obi-Wan seeing the clone reminds him of Order 66, but also reminds him of his friendship with Commander Cody. We got a drug dealer that Obi-Wan asked for information from. And it's actually a little interesting tidbit is that her name is Tethla Grigg, and she's actually Ewan McGregor's daughter. So that was pretty interesting because she specifically says that everyone here used to be someone's daughter, but they never made it back. Kind of like a reference that she is actually Ewan's daughter.
I did not know that.
So, and we see a little boy take Obi-Wan to Haja, which is played by Kumail, which is really awesome to see him in Star Wars. I think his character is awesome. A Jedi trickster, something that has been referenced a lot, but never seen on screen. So it's really cool to see him. And kind of one of the first giveaways that you might not notice is that he wears his lightsaber, which is just fake because we see Obi-Wan break it. He wears it on the outside of his robe when Jedi actually are supposed to wear it on the inside of his robe. So he's obviously showing off, but a real Jedi would never wear the lightsaber on the outside. So we see him kind of scam this. He kind of scams the family out of money, and he sends them on safe passage to Coruscant. He does a fake mind trick. Pretty funny stuff. But kind of an interesting thing that is built on later in the episode.
Hey, Rhonda, thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you. We have he mentions that the kid has special gifts, and the mother kind of talks about the Force in a certain way, where we can infer that the kid is actually force sensitive, and Haja is sending them safely, so he cares about the Jedi. We kind of see that later. He does like Jedi, which is why he chose to be a fake Jedi. That's because he kind of like idolizes them, and he wants the kid to be safe who is force sensitive. Then we get to see he guides him to basically a space meth lab, if you will, a spice lab of some sort, which is just basically Breaking Bad in a space. So I thought that was pretty funny, but awesome. And Obi-Wan blows up the vial and sneaks past the guard. But a couple things I noticed is that there's a shung beak, I believe it's called, and I have it written down here. But the shung beak actually appeared in The Rise of Skywalker, and he's just I thought he's a really cool alien. He kind of looks like he has a fishbowl on his head. So I noticed him in the background. I'm just glad, they have a lot of unique aliens on Dayu. They like the dinosaur guys and stuff like that. So it's just nice to see some newer Star Wars aliens make an appearance. So we have Kenobi. If you didn't notice, when he blows up the vial and sneaks past the guard, he actually pickpockets the guard and steals something from him, which I didn't notice the first time because it's really easy to miss. But he passes by while pickpocketing him, which is pretty smooth of Kenobi. And then he goes to the back rooms to find Leia, gets into a little bit of a scuffle with some guards, and he actually cuts his hand on one of the guards' horns, which is a Zabrak, which is the same species as Darth Maul, with the horns on top of their heads. That's just kind of a cool detail that you could miss. You could see his hand is cut when he hits him on the head. We have, so he finds Leia in the jail cell after taking out Flea.
Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the bassist.
Yeah, he basically does a "This is not meth" from Breaking Bad, slams it on the ground and leaves. Pretty cool of him. And we see him find Leia. And the scene of him getting Leia from the jail cell is kind of like a parody of A New Hope when Luke finds Leia in the jail cell. Kind of the way it's framed, and some of the dialogue used is very similar, Leia expecting something a little better to come and rescue her, and then her not initially trusting her rescuer is just kind of funny. So basically, they get out. Obi-Wan and Leia kind of roaming the streets, trying to escape Dayu, and Reva and the Grand Inquisitor have some disagreements. As we see, they do not get along very well. Reva is a little too ambitious for the Inquisitorius' taste. But she kind of puts out a bounty on Kenobi, which kind of leads to a giant chase. We see a LOM series droid bounty hunter, just like Forlom from The Empire Strikes Back, but this one's actually called One Jack, so they're a new character, which was kind of interesting. I think they just named them because a lot of people thought he was Forlom, and he dies in the episode, so people are upset, so they give him a name, which was kind of interesting. So we see Obi-Wan and Leia, they go through the streets. Obi-Wan shoots that guy that's trying to interrogate Leia on the street. And basically they make it back to an alley, but Leia does not trust Obi-Wan, or should I say Ben, anymore. So she runs away. They get into a rooftop scuffle. Now they get shot out by bounty hunters. And, Leia, she takes a trip off the roof and falls. And Obi-Wan has to reconnect with the Force and, kind of stop her from falling to the ground.
How did he do that?
With the Force.
Oh, okay. I'm just checking.
Use your mind. So it's kind of similar to another scene in Jedi Fallen Order and their connection there, where Cal has to reconnect with the Force to save his friend from falling into a Sarlacc pit. Which is, it's kind of the same thing. They reconnect with the Force. They save their friend, but what are the consequences of them doing that to the open eye? They're kind of hunted by Inquisitors. Another connection between that and Fallen Order. Also, it's kind of the idea of reconnecting with the Force that was explored in Fallen Order is probably going to happen in this series, where, Obi-Wan has been closed off from the Force for so long that he's going to have to get his skills back, but eventually he'll be just as good as he used to be with some practice. And then we see Haja come back to help Kenobi, which we kind of saw. He cares about the Jedi a lot, and so he wanted to help Kenobi after he learned about his true nature as a former Jedi Master. And, a bit of redemption for the character as well. I really liked Haja. I thought he was one of the best characters in this episode and in the series so far. So they make it to the cargo bay hangar where they were about to leave when Riva tracks them down after extracting some information from Haja's mind. And she plays a little hide and seek with Obi-Wan, which is kind of just like how Vader did with Luke in Episode 6. Very similar scene, kind of like between Riva and Obi-Wan, Luke and Vader. So I want to talk about Riva's Force abilities because throughout the show, she's able to kind of know things about people through the Force, which a lot of the Inquisitors have special abilities, like the Ninth Sister can like sense emotions from people, but Riva seems to have some kind of ability to sense like information. Like she kind of notices it with Owen and Haja as well, and she does it with Obi-Wan and the cargo bay. So I just think it's probably something that will be brought up as well. Kind of interesting, her Force abilities. And Riva also knows about Anakin Skywalker being Darth Vader, which is something almost nobody knows about. So obviously that's going to be explored later as well. And she has some kind of fascination with Obi-Wan and Anakin. You know, maybe she's studied them for a long time. Maybe she was obviously all Inquisitors were basically former Jedi, so maybe she idolized them when she was a Jedi, and maybe she researched them. She's pretty smart, so she figured something out here. And Obi-Wan kind of has a crisis, but the Grand Inquisitor comes to stop Riva, and that's when she stabs him in the chest, and he falls to the ground. But Obi-Wan makes his escape. A lot of people think the Grand Inquisitor is dead, but he's not because he has to survive for rebels. So they'll probably just finish Shand him or back the tank or something.
So how does the Grand Inquisitor, we talked about this off stream, take a lightsaber through his chest, yet he lives?
I don't know. Dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be a natural, I mean, Anakin lost 3 of his limbs and was set on fire, and he lived. So,
good point.
Dark side users, Maul was cut in half and fell down a reactor shaft. So, dark side users have a very good survivability for wounds, I would say.
Dean, have you ever been to the Darth Mall?
Because everything's half off.
Yes, everything's half off.
Yeah, so
we need the drum rim shot effect, but
yeah, that's okay. The Grand Inquisitor, he survives. I mean, Star Wars, people have survived worse. He'll be fine. And I'm assuming that they did that to the Grand Inquisitor because they want to make way for Vader. But like, Grand Inquisitor is kind of like the big bad right now, so they're probably going to, they're making way for Vader, is what I'm assuming. And then obviously at the very end of the episode, we see Obi-Wan utter Anakin's name, and he makes the connection with Anakin, now Darth Vader, in the back of the tank, which is really awesome. And that's kind of where it ends.
All right, Dean, take a breath. That's the recap. So we end, not surprising to me, on what appears to be Darth Vader in the back of the tank. So we got 4 episodes left, 4 parts left. Excuse me. We've done part 1, part 2. So how long before we see Vader, do you think?
I think it'll definitely be a heavily mentioned in the next episode, and then he'll appear in episode 4, I think, or maybe he'll appear at the very end of episode 3 and then have his actual role in episode 4.
Will we see another classic lightsaber battle?
Yes.
Between Obi-Wan and Darth?
Yes.
I guess this would be round 2 of 3, maybe. There's only been 2 that we know of: Mustafar, and then New Hope, where spoiler alert, it doesn't turn out well for Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Well, I have some predictions for the series, things that will come up. 1, Obi-Wan's going to have more nightmares for sure, and we're definitely getting a Clone Wars flashback, because they wouldn't bring Hayden Christensen on and not have him be Anakin Skywalker again. So I'm pretty sure we're getting a flashback. Also, Tamara Morrison is already playing the veteran clone, so it could easily be like Captain Rex or something in a flashback with the Obi-Wan and their Clone Wars stuff. So I think that will happen. 2, we're definitely going to get some more backstory on Riva. We're going to learn about her. I think Riva's also definitely going to die. I'll be surprised if she did not die. The 4th sister is also going to die. She only had a minor role in episode 2, but we don't see her again. So I'm assuming that she's going to die as well. Obviously, Vader has to show up, and Obi-Wan and Vader definitely are going to have a duel because it's just been promoted too much for it not to happen. And I'm assuming the duel is going to end by Vader thinking Obi-Wan is dead. Yeah, those are my main predictions. I'm thinking one major cameo, maybe Cal Kestis, something of the sorts. Maybe it will be just like Captain Rex and Anakin Skywalker flashback, something like that.
It's been interesting, and the quality is good stories, and anything Star Wars, it's a good story. In addition to all of GWIS tech and costumes and droids, it's awesome. But I think without the good story, all that stuff is just kind of window dressing. So love it so far. I'm looking forward to what I hope is another lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan and Darth. We shall see that. Any surprises to this point, Dean?
I was pretty surprised to see the veteran clone. That was definitely something I wasn't expecting. Obviously, the Grand Inquisitor being stabbed was a really big surprise. That definitely shocked me in the moment. But other than that, I don't think there are any like major surprises that I didn't see coming.
Any more major character cameos that we didn't already mention that's been rumored that you think might happen?
I think the biggest one is Cal Kestis. I think with the announcement of his new game being at literally the same time as Obi-Wan and him having a history with Inquisitors, that would be the least surprising thing to me, but I think it would be awesome. For
Explain who Cal Kestis is again, for those that may not know.
Like you.
Boom.
Yeah, he's the main character of Jedi Fallen Order, which is the single-player game that came out in 2019. A smash hit. I'd recommend you should play it. It's a really fun game. I fully completed it, but basically Cal was a Padawan who survived Order 66, but his master died because the clones betrayed them, and he basically lives in hiding until he uses the Force to save his friend, and that kind of makes the Inquisitors come after him, and yeah, you have to play the game to figure out the rest, but let's just say he has an encounter with some Inquisitors, an encounter with the head honcho, if you will.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about with Obi-Wan?
No, I'm just excited. I really want to see Clone Wars flashback in live action because I think it's the only way, as far as I know, to get a live action Clone Wars would be a flashback in this series. That's the only thing I have for Obi-Wan. I'm really excited though for all the trailer stuff they showed at Star Wars Celebration. The Bad Batch and Tales of the Jedi were definitely my favorite things, and they're both coming out this fall. So we're gonna have plenty of Star Wars animation content this fall, along with Andor. So we'll be loaded on Star Wars for a while, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, and if you don't know kind of YouTube laws or copyright, we can't really show any episode on Disney Plus or any Star Wars stuff because it's all copyrighted. So that's why we're talking about it. So you'll have to sign up for Disney Plus to see Obi-Wan. So normally we show other videos or at least pictures, and it's hard on the Star Wars reaction streams only because everything's copyrighted. So so that's I love it. I'm excited for the final 4 parts, or for the final 4 parts of this season. I'm hearing Obi-Wan or Ewan McGregor's up for season 2. I don't know if they've greenlighted a season 2 or not of Obi-Wan.
I haven't yet, but I'm interested to see where it ends. Because like with Book of Boba Fett season 2, if they were to make a season 2 for that show, it would be so wildly different from what season 1 would be that I'm not sure if it would make sense to have a season 2. Like the way Obi-Wan's going, I feel like it would make sense for them to have a season 2 because you can't do too much without ruining the continuity of A New Hope. Like they're setting up well here, but still kind of like messing with some of it. So I don't know how much they can have them logically do with it still making sense, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the next 4 parts. I'm also excited for Kelly from the Mickey Bench and Friends are going to be on June 12th at 7. So we've started a creator corner where we have some of our favorite YouTube channels come on. Tom from Vacationers Podcast and More was on Volume 1, and Kelly is going to be on Volume 2. So we really enjoy the Mickey Bunch. You can check out her channel on YouTube, the Mickey Bunch. We've been on there a bunch, and we enjoy being on her channel, and we look forward to hosting her on our channel. Make sure and set your notifications. It's June 12th at 7. And set your notifications just as we get closer to that schedule. It could change an hour or two possibly. So always good to have your notifications set as things kind of move around a little bit. Sometimes we do try to keep to our times that we set and be respectful of viewer all's time as well. And speaking of that, just before we go, I'm just going to bring up our channel here a little bit. We're Adventures by D. Some of the things that we've recently done. Let me get rid of these stats for you. There's Kelly's stream coming on June 12th. And then some of the recent uploads, we were just at Universal. You can see Chris in the thumbnail. We did a full live stream, including the cool new summer tribute store there. Got a bunch of ET Jaws and a Back to the Future room that's unbelievable. Recommend checking out that live stream when you can. We've been to Six Flags Over Georgia recently, did their tapas and tequila festival. That was really fun, colorful, a lot of is a really good cultural event there. They invited me out to ride the Python Plunge, the new water coaster out at Six Flags Whitewater Water Park here in Marietta, Georgia. So you can watch that one. And then I get to talk to Deidre, who's on the marketing and PR staff, interview her on some of the things coming up for the summer at Six Flags Over Georgia. So went out for the media day and had a great time. Just check out that video. And then one of the other things, look at the Stranger Things filming locations. Season 4 is playing now. Madison and I went out. Most of the exterior things are filmed here in Georgia in the first 3 or 4 seasons. So check that out. Went to like the high school, went to the lab, the evil Hawkins lab, where they held number 11 captive, and they did some experiments, etc. But it's pretty interesting. There were some cool things. Saw all the major houses, neighborhood houses where the boys live. So check out that video when you can. And then you can see the rest of our videos. We highlight Six Flags Over Georgia, our local park here in Atlanta area, Wild Adventures down in Valdosta, about 4 hours south of here, Georgia, Florida line. They have some great things, animals. We'll be going down there at some point soon. And then really anything in Atlanta we'll take a look at, from the zoo to the aquarium here, which is fantastic. We've been on the Braves tour, take you to the full stadium tour. And then one thing, being a Georgia person and moving to Georgia, we had a lot of fun with Stephanie Stuckey at Six Flags. And that's another one of our Six Flags vlogs, where she came out and hung out with us at Six Flags. And if you don't know Stuckey's, they're a road trip OG. They've been around since 1937, and Stephanie's family founded Stuckey's, and she's bringing it back to its former prominence. Just all kinds of great memories she had with Six Flags as a teenager. But also she talks about Stuckey's and how they build the candy and what nougat is, and all everything you want to know about Stuckey's, and how she's working to really bring back and build back the brand to where it was. She'll talk about in that video too. So she was great to work with and a lot of fun. So Dean, I will stop the plugging. Thank you, Rhonda. And we enjoy Rhonda's channel too. Check out DWG Adventures. We've hung out in several places around town. Rhonda just got through with MomoCon. So check out MomoCon, Rhonda's recent live stream there. What's that? Anybody else? I believe that's it, Dean. Did you have fun today?
I sure did.
Thank you for joining on a busy Memorial Day weekend, and thank everybody for their service, men and women. I know that's more important than anything we talk about with Star Wars, so thank you for that, and appreciate everybody taking a little time out of their holiday weekend to spend it with us. Here's Rhonda's channel. Thank you, Carol Karki, for posting that. Check out DWG Adventures. I believe that's it. We'll be posting some videos this week, so we'll make sure you have your notification. If you enjoy this content, give us a thumbs up. Make sure to consider subscribing if you're new, and leave a comment. Let me know if you're watching the replay. Maybe you haven't seen Obi-Wan. Leave a comment. Let me know did we get anything right? Did you see something we missed, an Easter egg we might have missed? Let me know in the comments. And we'll be back in a couple weeks, probably June 11th or 12th. Set your notification. I'll get the thumbnail up soon to talk about part 3 and 4. Yes. Karki is the moderator extraordinaire. All our moderators are great. Karki too. We appreciate we can't do the channel without the moderators. It can't work it ourselves and do the content and also kind of mind the chat. So appreciate being a moderator is work. I am a moderator on another channel, and it's a job that takes some work to do to keep the channel family friendly and to keep it moving along and post links and all that stuff. So we appreciate all of our moderators for taking time out to do that. So thank you to the moderators.
You can just say mod.
Mod, just say mod. Is that easier?
Yeah, I've never heard anyone say moderator before.
All right, I'm gonna say mod now.
There you go.
All righty, I'm out of breath. We're a little over an hour. Have a great rest of your Memorial Day, and Dean, until the next adventure, what do we want to say?
I have one thing first.
Oh, sorry, Dean has something to plug.
You want to watch Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yes, that's right. Dean is doing a Jedi mind trick.
That's right.
All right, Dean. So until the next adventure,
May the adventures be with you.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and
Ringing a bell.
so you'll be notified of our next upload. And as always, may the adventures be with you.